Hey there, handy friends. Today we are going to be filtering beeswax. So let's start with a little bit of how and when. So I have this grater that I got from the Dollar Tree that I dedicate to beeswax. And then I also have this parchment baking paper that I use. Now I do want to say this is environmentally friendly parchment paper. I do live right near Parchment, which is a town within Kalamazoo County. That's where I reside, and basically parchment paper has really polluted our area, so I really like to use this non-bleached parchment paper, and this is also compostable. I have unfiltered beeswax that I got from Brasswood Nectar, and this is just as I received it in this cute little bag that I'm going to reuse next time I go there. I'm trying a new supplier for my beeswax. And then inside it came in this baggie. I did order 4 pounds, and it usually comes in 12-pound bricks. So if I decide that I really like this, I will graduate to the 12 to 18-pound brick. But for right now, I'm starting with this, and I'm going to bring you in closer and show you what unfiltered beeswax looks like, and then we're going to filter it today. Alright, I've got my wax laid out. As you can see, it does have some dirt particles in it, but not very much. It was pretty clean, I thought. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use this grater that I have and grate it down into little pieces. And the reason why I'm doing that is because it will melt faster. So this is kind of a long drawn process here, grating this down. And once I get this all grated, which I'm probably just going to do little bits at a time, I'm going to put my shavings in this Pyrex, and then I'm going to double boil it down. So bear with me, stick with me while I grate this down, and then we'll do the next step. Grating beeswax is not an easy task, so I've asked my 16-year-old son to help me out with this. It did take him quite a few hours to grate down the whole 4 pounds, but it will be worth it in the end as it will melt a lot quicker. We set some of the large chunks in the sun to heat up to make them easier to grate up. Show you what I have going on here. This is very warm. So down there I have just a little bit of water, and I also have a large wide mouth ball mason jar ring. So the ring is basically creating a double boiler for me, and I can set my huge Pyrex. This is my new 8-cup Pyrex, and I'm melting down this beeswax, and this is how I've created a homemade double boiler with the ring. On the bottom, it lifts the glass off of the direct heat, and it's filled with water underneath, and it's all melted down. And this has created a safe place for me to melt my beeswax. You never ever want to boil it because then it loses its medicinal properties. And I have been melting this down for around 1.5 hours on low. So again, not boiling. And this is a little bit over half of the 4 pounds that we originally started with already. So it melts down, and it looks like way less once it's melted into liquid form, of course. But so this is a slow process. Is you want to if you're planning on filtering your beeswax, you want to plan on it at least half the day or a full day project. And so I've got this on low, melting down. And once I get around a little bit more than half of the beeswax melted, we're going to show you the next step. So bear with me here, and please subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet done so. I'm going to have more videos like this, and you always can enjoy to learn something with me. It took me approximately 3.5 hours to melt down this 2.5 pounds of beeswax. Be sure you have a silicone spatula to help you stir it periodically, as it keeps the wax melting. Don't strain your beeswax until it's fully melted with no chunks left. The next step is to purify it, and I already have these pre-cut muslin cloths, and I use this for everything, and this is how I'm going to basically triple grade strain this beeswax. So it's got a tighter weave than cheesecloth, obviously, but it'll help catch all the particles out because I'm gonna use this beeswax for cosmetic uses and maybe like some birthday candles and stuff, so I don't want to have dirt particles in there. So I'm gonna keep my level low. I did pre-measure my amount of wax that I started with before I poured, and it was a little less than 6 cups. I'm going to set this back in here so that this stays warm, because the whole thing that's going to keep this working is the heat. As you can see, it's draining. And then I measured, so I cut my square of muslin cloth like that. And then I measured how far down I could put the band on. And it goes down, the band goes down to around 6 cups. So I don't want to fill past the muslin cloth or it's not really going to do me any good. So that's what I'm trying to say. And then as you pour more wax in, it heats the cloth back up so it can keep straining. And I really love muslin because it's just all around good. I make homemade tea bags out of this. I just use it for so many things around the house. I use it with my herbs to strain. Anything that I'm making, like tinctures and salves or infused oils, I use it for that. And then obviously I'm using it for this. Muslin is known for like sewing. If you want to make a like if you're making a shirt, you would use muslin to make the copy before you use your fabric, because muslin is pretty much really cheap, and then you're not wasting your fabric if you mess up the size or it doesn't fit you right. So for a lot of testing for sewing it's used, and I sew a lot, so it's just got so many uses here on the homestead. Alright, so as you can see down here, the wax is starting to cool. And I can see when I stop pouring that there are particles here, kind of like acquiring that here in the muslin, and that's exactly what I wanted to do. So I'm going to keep doing this process, warming it. That way this is not 100% solid here. And I really like to use glass because glass is so easy to clean the beeswax off. So I still got my hot plate on. That's come in really handy for my herbalism uses as well. I can heat up my wax and my oils wherever I go with this hot plate, so I do recommend you get one of those. Any wax is highly flammable. So this is beeswax and highly flammable. So you want to be careful with that, and don't ever leave it unattended. And that's another reason why I'm doing it outside. In case we have a fire or anything like that, it can be easily controlled. And also, it's pretty hot out. It's around 90 degrees today, so outside is the best way when it's that warm and you're already working with hot wax. So just trying to stay cool. So as I get to the bottom, I do have a lot more dirt and just debris acquiring here in the muslin, and I do want to point out that on the bottom there's a lot of debris as well, and I'm going to go ahead and filter it all out, but I just want you to pay close attention. The further down I get, make sure you're watching the wax to actually see what is coming out of that. See that dirt and all that debris in there? So that's the whole point of this process. We're filtering beeswax, and then I can let it harden in this jar, and I am gonna double boil the jar back down, and then I'm going to pour this clean wax into some molds. See all that dirt? Go ahead and finish it up. Oh yeah, look at that. A lot of dirt and debris in the bottom. So I'm gonna use this water in my double boiler to clean out my Pyrex. Now you never want to dump your beeswax down the drain. You always want to do this like outside, so another great reason to have this hot plate out here. So I'm heating the bottom so it doesn't harden, and then I'm gonna quick take this entire pan to this area and clean it out by dumping the hot water in here and using my silicone spatula to clean this up the best I can before I do take it inside. And then over here, let me show you. So this is quite warm. And now it's not always easy to get the band on. See, this is just a canning jar band that I use for this beeswax process. And then here's my muslin. Now this is only half of the wax that this is like half of the 4 pounds, so say about 2.5 pounds here. So I'm going to reuse this same muslin square next time, but you can see all that debris that was filtered out, and this is a really easy way so that you don't have to waste a sieve, because if you use a sieve or a strainer that you have around the house, you're going to dedicate that to beeswax, but that's another way. And you can see there I have my filtered beeswax, so I'm going to quick run and clean this up, and then we're going to show you the next step. And the chocolate silicone molds, but either way you can go ahead and just get some silicone molds. And then here's the wax. It's still hardening in this jar, and I poured some. This is my purified wax. It's so pretty, it smells so good. I've just got this on so it can still cool and no bugs get in there, because the bugs are trying to get at it. My neighbor, she's a beekeeper, and her bees are smelling this beeswax. So I reheat the beeswax. I poured some out of this jar into this Pyrex, and I reheated it and melted it all back down so that I can come over here and fill these. And this is going to help me to be able to measure my beeswax in the future, so I don't have to always, melt it down in the jar. So I can always double boil this jar. That's one way for me to melt it, but this way I'll have like little chunks. When you're making herbal infusions and things like that, it's best to have beeswax that you can measure, because you usually measure them in grams. So this way I'll have nice little chunks. These are actually like a Reese's cup silicone mold that I got at the store. I got these 2 for $7, so not very pricey. And I'm going to fill these up with the beeswax, let them cool, pop them out, and then I'll give you another look. Alright, so I have my purified beeswax here in my jar, and I have my molds. Now there's a little bit running off the side, that's fine. This is really going to help me melt it down next time, so whatever the shape is, just as long as this is splitting it up for me. So I'm putting my beeswax cups into a clean baggie, and I will reuse the other baggies for the next time I go ahead and get some more of this beeswax, because I really did love it. It smells really good. I can tell it's top quality stuff. Now I'm clearing these molds out, and I've got a little bit more over here I'm gonna go ahead and fill. But if you like what you see, please give me that thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel for more amazing videos. I like to home craft with natural things. We are worm composters, as well as a lot of homesteading things, foraging, herbalism. So please subscribe to my channel and stay handy, friends.